Hey guys, Sunny here. It's amazing to see how far Riot Games has come. It all started with League of Legends, the game that literally went from this to this. And now, many years later, we get to experience the universe that League has built for us. New games, music, merch, and books. That's great news because, I'll be honest, I'm tired of playing on Summoner's Rift. I want to enjoy doing stuff like this, but I don't want to play the game to appreciate my favorite champion. And that is exactly the reason why Legends of Runeterra is such an incredible game. I get to enjoy the world of Runeterra, the champions that are in it, without being part of this toxic wasteland. I get to live the fantasy that Aurelion Sol, Zilean, and Pyke want you to have. Although sometimes it doesn't quite land. Galio aside, leveling champions feels powerful, and finding out more about who they are through their cards is beautiful. But not every champion in League has been turned into a card yet. If you're waiting for your main to be added, it just kinda sucks, man. There's a total of 159 champions in League, so we're still waiting for a ton to get added to our card game. In this video, I want to do some wishful thinking and show you guys my personal top 10 champions I wish were in Legends of Runeterra. We're going to look at some archetypes these champions could go into, what their effects would be, and maybe some lore. I could never do all of this by myself, so to bring some of these champions to life, I requested the aid of the very talented members of the custom card channel on my Discord, and from the Grandmaster himself, Yuri. Alright. With that out of the way, let's start by looking at number 10. We're kicking off this list with the Boy and His Yeti. Honestly, when you think about it, it's strange Snnuy and Willem haven't been added to the game already. We have an entire archetype that revolves around Yetis, and Snnuy is riding a giant Yeti. I mean, listen, Riot. This card designs itself. The reason I would love to see Snnuy and Willem get added to the game isn't necessarily because I like the Yeti archetype so much. It's because of their whimsical nature. If you look at the champions that are currently part of Freljord, they're a little intense. Light-hearted cards in Freljord come in the form of Poros, Elnox, and Yetis. So that would be the perfect archetype in my eyes. This Snnuy card is based on an old custom card made by Andy. Manifest a Yeti, Poro, or Elnox and grant them impact. Manifest and impact may not be part of Freljord, but honestly, it should be. To TLDR the Snnuy lore, its little boy does magic stuff with flute, bends reality, and makes Yetis and other wildlife less scary. Also, there's a card already in the game that would make the perfect champion spell. The art is literally a torn picture book, so it could imply that Snnuy brings the tales of his childhood to life with magic. After summoning 5 little, or big critters, Snnuy and Willem are reunited, and whenever you add a Poro, Elnox, or Yeti to your hand, copies of them everywhere get impact. Woohoo, now this is a card that gets me excited to play an old archetype. The reason we don't have the magic duo in-game yet is probably because of the recent Song of Snnuy announcement, and when this game releases, I fully expect Snnuy and Willem to get added to Runeterra at the same time. And for the next champion on this list, it's going to be a little more edgy and in your face. Wait, stop the music. I want to make one thing clear. This is a scumbag champion when you're playing as Samira in League. Windwall on a stick, massive area of effect ultimate that heals her back to full life and resets. But as a champion, I think Samira's character and looks are amazing. A Shuriman that was brought up in Noxus, and you can tell by looking at her clothes and tattoos. She's one of the only champions with a nationality other than the region she's associated with. Dual region? Alright, let's not go there again. So, you know what would have been cool? If we had Samira as a card go into some kind of Noxus Shurima deck. One that comes to mind is Reputation? But no, for some reason, we got LeBlanc, the Deceiver, the Manipulator, as a 5/2 and in an archetype that cares about hitting hard with 5 or more damage. I just don't get it. It should have been Samira. It would have been so perfect. I still just can't believe it. Reputation is a horribly filled archetype, and it's a shame really. Activate an effect by hitting with 5 or more power 4 times is super boring design. It's much more interesting if something happened based on how many times you've attacked with 5 or more power. Like the Samira card made by MC Paleo. 4 mana, 1/3 with quick attack. I have +1/+0 for each 5+ power ally that has struck this game. Level up, you've activated Reputation. On level 2, Samira deals 1 damage to all battling enemies for each attacking 5+ power ally. This is the kind of payoff I would love to see for a Reputation style deck. Sivir is a cool finisher, but as far as cards and her whole personality goes, she's pretty bland. Give me that flair and execution that Samira brings to finish a game. For number 8, we have a cute little... I just can't keep my... off. Bart is a character that roams around Runeterra, collecting artifacts and items he deems too dangerous for mortals. In the cinematic, Bart ignores all the pain and suffering around him. He's only interested in getting some kind of artifact. Does that make him good? Is he evil? All I know is he's a fluffball. Other than most Celestials, Bart isn't bound to one location. When I look at him, I think Targon, but that isn't necessarily true. In League of Legends, Bart has one of the most unique playstyles. He wanders around the map, collecting chimes, creating portals, and putting both enemy and ally into stasis. Help. Basically, when you play against Bart in League, you have no idea what the you're getting into. So Yuri made a Bart card to replicate that feeling of knowing you're about to get by some nonsense. First, Bart is a Runeterra champion. That means that Bart is a region, and you can only pick one secondary region. You can choose cards to pick for your deck from any of the 10 basic regions, but you can only take one copy of it if the card doesn't belong to your secondary region. So you have Bart as region 1, and let's say Targon as region 2, and that means you can pick any card from the other 9 regions, but only one copy of each card. Bart's level 1 lets you draw a card the first time you play a card each round. With a Zoe level up, but he doesn't need to see you play the cards. When Bart levels up, he gives all cards, even your opponents, play draw 2. But you get the effect that whenever you obliterate a card, a copy gets created in your deck. What the f? Bart draws through your deck really fast to look for these trinkets from all across the world. And he doesn't care if that's good or bad for you. He just wants those artifacts and he wants them fast. Number 7 is both Kill and Morgana. My actual number 7 was Morgana, but it didn't feel right to put her on this list without her sister Kill. If their cards ever come to Runeterra, they'd have to go in a deck together. And, I get asked this question a lot, so I'll finally address it. Yes, the hottest champion in the League universe is Morgana. And Viego. And Rek'Sai. Okay, moving on. Kill and Morgana are the twin daughters of the Targonian aspect of justice. There's a lot of lore that other channels are much better at covering, but eventually what matters for this video is that their father moved them to the magic-absorbing city of Demacia. If you look at Kill and Morg, you think light good, dark bad, but it's a little more nuanced than that. Kill is the part of justice that is exclusionary, inflexible, and based on law and rules. Morgana is compassionate, flexible, and believes in reforming. They are opposites, yet they are two sides of the same coin. Technically, they could both be either Targon or Demacia, but for this video I decided to put both of them in Demacia. One playstyle that we don't see explored much in Demacia are effects that happen when an ally dies. I thought that this would be an interesting direction for Kill and Morgana to take. Kill is the Punisher. 6 mana 4/6, each round the first time an ally dies, she strikes the weakest enemy. If your opponent breaks the law by killing an ally, she'll discipline them. And if you kill your own ally, she'll pretend it was your opponent who did it. Morgana is the other side of the coin. As a 4 mana 2/4, she instead gives a spell shield to the strongest ally the first time an ally dies to prevent the same thing from happening to them. Kill needs to see you deal 12 damage. Morgana needs to see allies deal 12 damage. On level up, the effect happens every time an ally dies instead of once per round. Kill gives herself +1/+1 and Morgana draws you a card on top. Morgana protect, Kill attack. I can see Kill being played in Targon to buff her attack, and Morgana in Shadow Isles with a champion like Viego to send him a spell shield. I tried to make the sisters as close to their playstyle in League of Legends as possible, while also making them have great synergy in a deck together, but flexible enough to see play in other decks. Number 6 is the big lady from the Ruined King. Ilaowi is one of the most popular champions when it comes to custom cards, and I can definitely see why. Her gameplay in League comes down to slamming tentacles. Her Q slams tentacle. W slams a tentacle. E summons a tentacle to slam more tentacles. Ult is all the tentacles. Her E is actually the most interesting ability here. As the truth bearer of the Nagake Boros, Ilaowi is direct, forceful, and believes deeply in tests of strength and fortitude. She uses her idol to rip her foe's spirit from their bodies and shatter their perception of reality to test if they are worthy.
Unworthy.
I've seen a lot of custom cards use her as a champion for Deep with Nautilus or as some kind of token tentacle build. But because her whole identity is basically you are chosen or you die, I think Faded makes a lot of sense. And Andy agreed. 3 mana 2/4 Faded. When Ilaowi is summoned or round start, create a Tentacle Slam in hand. Tentacle Slam deals 1 to an ally to deal 1 to an enemy. Hey, that's interesting. This would finally give a home to all the self-damage cards from Build Swatter 2. Proccing Faded with a ping on your own unit is genius design and something I've love to see from a region like Bilgewater. After targeting 5 allies, Ilaowi gets overwhelmed and summons an entangled spirit for the opponent. This card will appear on their board with ephemeral, immobile, and vulnerable. Damage I take is also dealt to the strongest ally, and this card is exactly what it feels like when your spirit gets yoinked by Ilaowi in League. Another thing, of course, about playing Ilaowi as a faded self-damage unit is the obvious synergy with Braum. And I'm not talking about the synergy they had on that boat in Rune King.
Yes, one we could have below deck.
Oh dear.
Even if you don't play League of Legends and you've never heard of some fella named Bart, you've still most likely seen the Call cinematic that was released earlier this year. Some incredible scenes with fights, hype moments, and stuff, all to set us up for the Void event this year. The dude that was a little out of place here though was the blacksmith, forging unknown items in the background. And that's my boy Ornn. We don't really know what he was doing in the cinematic, but maybe he's crafting weapons and artifacts to fight the Void monsters with for the event later this year? Maybe it's all completely unrelated? Or maybe he's finally making that flamethrower for the battle extermination. Ornn is a tank, and you can tell by looking at him. After reaching a certain level, Ornn will start making items for himself and his teammates. You take some of the most powerful items in the game, and he'll make them even better. Yuri made this Ornn card, but it wouldn't be Ornn without a bunch of artifacts to go along with him. 5 mana 3/6. When you play Ornn, you get to pick a Volcanic Arsenal card, and allies with at least one positive keyword have +1/+1. These Volcanic Arsenal cards make things really spicy. Sheen is a 2 mana 2/1 attach with impact and quick attack. Frozen Heart is a 2 mana 2/2 attach with spell shield. Frostbane is a 3/1 with attach and challenger. Forge Fire Harness is a 1/3 with attach and formidable. Frostforge Gauntlet is a 1/2 with tough, and every time the unit is attached to attacks, deal 1 to all units. No spells like Aphelios weapons, but actual attachable items, so it feels like you're arming your cards with powerful artifacts. All of the cards are immobile because they're items. You're supposed to give them to your units and not leave them lying around. After allies have gained 10 positive keywords, Ornn creates a random Volcanic Arsenal card in your hand if you don't have one, and allies have +1/+1 for each positive keyword. An item every turn, incredible stats, and I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but I love value. I can't help but wish this was the Freljord champion we got for the Curious Journey expansion, instead of no champion at all. This next champion is going to be a little more controversial, and not because this is number 4 and it's not Jhin. Yeah, 4, that's funny. No, it's controversial because it's Sylas, who I actually really like as a champion. I disagree with some of the design directions, like how it makes no sense for him to look as muscular as he does while he was in prison and ate rats all his life. His playstyle and story are still super cool. In League of Legends, Sylas steals ultimates. That's his whole thing. He yoinks your most powerful ability and uses it against you. Much like how nap decks always take your win condition from your deck every time. Sylas is the one who started the Mage Rebellion, using the magic of those around him to destroy Demacia. And I love this direction. It's about time Demacia has some stuff going on instead of just being the boring region it is right now. All of their decks feel the same. I'm waiting for the region to do something unique and give a home to cards that aren't being played. Sylas is a great opportunity to make that happen. This concept by Ekidori, for example, takes the mechanic of Spell Thief and turns it into Sylas. 3 mana 4/2 with Barrier and Spell Shield. Strike, create a Hijack in hand. When you play an enemy spell, grab me Barrier. Hijack chooses one of 3 enemy spells and creates a copy of it in hand. My favorite part about this Sylas card is how you need to strike to get the Hijack value. So you have to enter combat and chain Hijack spells together to keep him protected. Get into the fight, slam the opponent's spell into their face, and then use that opportunity to hijack even more of their precious magic. After playing 3 enemy spells, Sylas rallies and levels up. When you play an enemy spell, grant me Barrier and do the Demacian thing again. Okay, we're all tired of Rally ruining our Runeterra games, but for Sylas, it's quite fitting. Lore-wise, he's rallying the Mage Rebels, and gameplay-wise, he rallies to strike and steal another spell. This interaction could create a Demacia Bilgewater Nap spell-weaving combat deck. And if that's not one of the coolest concepts for a deck I've ever heard, I don't know what is. We're kicking off the top 3 with somebody you all know. It's Vander from Arcane. What? People who don't play League didn't know that? It's just a theory, okay? Don't worry. Anyway, Warwick is an ex-gangster who tried to put away violence and look for a better life. But he was unlucky enough to cross paths with a crazy scientist. And yeah, he was used as a test subject, and you can see what happened to him after that. Warwick craves blood and flesh, but he only kills those who are already covered in the stench of blood to purge the worst of Zaan's residents. His League gameplay reflects this. Warwick gains all sorts of bonuses when he smells somebody is low on HP. Warwick in League of Legends is one of my most played champions, so to really bring him to life as a card in Runeterra, I had to do something special. I reached out to Runeterra's prophet, the king of custom cards, and overall fantastic community figure, the skilled Roy himself. Seriously, if you don't know him already, go to his channel right now and subscribe, because the content available is incredible. I asked Roy to make a custom card for Warwick, and my god, it's everything I could ever ask for. Roy designed Warwick as a 4-mana 4/4 with quick attack. Damaged enemies have vulnerable. Grant me power equal to my blocker's missing health. If you've seen Warwick in League of Legends, you know how perfect this effect is. When somebody is missing a big chunk of health, Warwick responds by running towards them very fast. Warwick gets stronger and stronger as he fights weaker opponents. And since this is an attack effect, both players can interact with it by using burn or healing spells. To level Warwick, he needs to deal 10 damage, which is a cute reference to Vi's level up because he was trained how to fight by Vander. Huh? Spoilers. It's still not confirmed, okay? We'll see. Level 2 Warwick gets Overwhelm and creates an infinite duress in hand at round start. Warwick starts a free attack, challenging a vulnerable enemy. A very powerful card that feels exactly like Warwick's ultimate, where he lunges at an enemy. Especially with Overwhelm and a stack in attack buff, Warwick is going to end game if units aren't protected from being injured. Lastly, Warwick's champion spell, Ravenous Bite. No, I said bite. Not flock, not glock, bite. 3 mana fast, deal 1 to an enemy, but if the enemy unit is undamaged, deal 3 instead. This is perfect for the way Warwick wants to play. Efficient removal to kill weaker units or to set up stronger units to be challenged by Warwick. Warwick strays from PNZ's region identity a little bit, but hey, so does Thresh, and champions by now are allowed to be a little more flexible in their region skills. Warwick's identity is translated to a card perfectly. The skilled Roy gave Piltover and Zaan a way to capitalize on their incidental damage with the uncaged wrath of Zaan. Here's the champion everyone who knows me expected to be number 1. Fiddlesticks is my favorite champion in League of Legends together with Pyke, so listen, I like Lurk and all, but if my other most played champion is only usable in one single deck, I will actually pop off. Fiddle is an ancient demon. He is as old as the universe itself. A fear demon that stalked the world for so long that just a mention of the name Fiddlesticks brings fears to those who hear it. Which, you know, I understand when he looks like this, but not so much when he looked like this.
Are you afraid?
His body is nothing more than a puppet made out of metal and farm equipment, with the actual demon hiding inside the cage at its center. So TLDR, spooky boy, but not Ghost McGhosterton, like haha, look at how scary I am with my blade arms Nocturne. No, demon and ancient fear scary. I mean, just look at this. Don't tell me you didn't jump out of your chair the first time this thing appeared on your screen. Fiddlesticks' abilities in League are actually very straightforward. Passive places fake scarecrows that look like him, Q is a fear, W drains surrounding targets, E is a ranged ability that silence, and his ultimate is where it's all at. This is what makes Fiddlesticks Fiddlesticks. Crowstorm is Fiddlesticks. There's a mechanic where Fiddle's abilities will fear his opponents if he damages them without being seen. So his entire playstyle is really all about hiding and finding creative spots on the map to deliver jump scares from. So with those abilities in mind, there are a lot of opportunities for a Fiddlesticks champion card. There's a possibility for a fearsome deck because of his fear ability, and I mean, look at him. Or something centered around the drain ability where Fiddle sucks the essence of targets around him. And of course, Scarecrow effigies as some kind of token deck. But yeah, you might have seen this one before. So here's the card I made for Fiddlesticks a few months ago, which, if you haven't seen it already, check out the Dread from Beyond video because I covered an entire custom expansion there. Anyway, the true way to play Fiddlesticks is jump scaring with his ultimate Crowstorm. That meant I wanted Fiddlesticks to make all cards that summon units without playing them to be burst speed. Summon a board out of nowhere and smack your opponent with some crows. I originally put Fiddlesticks in Demacia because that's where there are a lot of fair spells that summon units, but at this point it's much more likely for Fiddle to be a Runeterra champion like Jhin. Alright, so with all of that, I'm sure you want a very good explanation on why Fiddle isn't number 1. And trust me, I have a reason for it. But first, honorable mention speed round. Okay. Ivan because he's such a happy, wholesome fella. Aatrox as a corrupted ascendant. Zac and Twitch because we need more non-human PNZ champions. Renata Glass because we need more badass human PNZ champions. Set as an Ionian fighter instead of Ionia's regular anti-fun playstyle. Kled as a true Noxian Yordle. Graves to make Twisted Fate a little less lonely. A ton of Void champions that we're probably getting during the summer. And last, but certainly, absolutely not least, Silco.
Jinx, you're perfect.
The champion I want to see in Legends of Runeterra more than anything else is Mordekaiser. A champion I want for more reasons than just he's cool, his playstyle's fun, he could do cool things as a card. I want to see Mordekaiser because of the implications. Currently, there are a few world-ending threats in Runeterra. We had the Black Mist with Viego, but that story more or less concluded last year. Then there are the World Runes, each strong in its own, but being together risks destroying all of Runeterra. It's Riot Games' Infinity Stones. The Darken, immortal demigod, self-regenerating and able to absorb life essence. Of course, the Void, which we'll hear more about this year. And then there's Mordekaiser, an undead conqueror who wants to shape a kingdom of his own in the afterlife and take as many subjects from the living as possible. Basically, Runeterra is one giant ticking time bomb, and there are over 100 triggers, Mordekaiser being one of them. The plot is simple. Mordekaiser is evil. He wants to kill everyone. In life, he conquered worlds. So when he died, he expected the eternal glory afterlife he earned by doing so much evil all the time when he was alive. Unfortunately for Mordekaiser, he instead found an empty afterlife. So he basically said, fine, I'll do it myself. I'll make my own afterlife with blackjack and hookers. He got himself revived as a suit of armor to conquer the world once more. He uses the souls of those he kills to create his own death realm. Mordekaiser gets temporarily sealed away because he was betrayed by LeBlanc. But there is a way back to Runeterra for him, which lies at the heart of Noxus, the immortal bastion, the center of his old global empire. And the time bomb is ticking on when he's going to use it. Until then, he's just chilling and waiting for the Void event to blow over. Probably not much of a tentacle guy. Mordekaiser is the Lich King or Sauron of League of Legends. The undead armor tyrant final boss. The implications surrounding Mordekaiser are so enormous. He would have to be an Aurelian Soul level card. Expensive and shaping the deck he's in. Making you afraid of the turn he inevitably comes down and starts bending the game to his will. Yuri had the honor of creating the highlight card of this video. Mordekaiser is a 9-mana 9/8 overwhelm from Noxus. When I'm summoned, grant other allies everywhere +2/+0, and last breath grant other allies everywhere +1/+1. When you're playing as a Mordekaiser deck, you're going to dread getting to that turn 9 because the game immediately becomes about not dying to the onslaught of minions that keep buffing each other up. It's not just a big overwhelm dude like Sion or Darius who want to throw their face at a Nexus. Mordekaiser instantly enhances your deck and actually makes Noxus great again. After allies with 50 total power have died while attacking, Mordekaiser gives other allies overwhelm. Seems like a simple enough effect, but that's really all it's going to take to end the game after buffing everything up so much. Yuri made a few support cards for our evil warlord too. Mordekaiser's champion spell is Eternal Servitude. 2-mana focus, give an ally +4 attack, overwhelm, and ephemeral. The perfect card to enable Mordekaiser and join him in his death realm. Eternal Servant is a 3-mana 5/1 that reduces the cost of the most expensive champion in your hand by 1. Mordekaiser's effect is so powerful that getting him down even a single turn earlier is going to be nasty. And lastly, the Unyielding Commanders. 5-mana 4/3 Fearsome. Play, summon an attacking ephemeral copy of the strongest allied follower that died this game. I see what's going on here. Imagine summoning the Eternal Servant to get multiple discounts on Mordekaiser. I genuinely wish these cards were in the game because playing big dudes and growing your deck more powerful is the exact kind of value Runeterra is all about for me. And before I move on, I want to again thank Yuri and all the people that made and submitted custom cards for this video. I couldn't do this without you guys. Also, if you like custom cards and want to see me do reviews, make sure to join the Discord or check me out on Twitch. So there it is, the top 10 champions I want to see in Legends of Runeterra. I'd love to hear your top 10, so make sure you let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm out. Looking forward to the new content in Runeterra and brainstorming new ideas for future videos. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.